Welcome to the lecture room. I am Dr. Vishwas Tiwari, Department of Biology, Nirmala College, Diocese of Ujjain. Today itself, I will express my valuable lecture for a very popular topic of the biological science, very correctly the ecological topic. The topic is the ecosystem. Come to the next slide. This is generalized scheme of the ecosystem or the classification of an ecosystem. What are the ecosystem? Ecosystems are classified into mainly two categories: natural ecosystems and artificial ecosystems. Artificial ecosystem means man-made ecosystems. Again, the natural ecosystems are classified into the two categories, that is aquatic ecosystems and terrestrial ecosystems. Further, aquatic ecosystems are classified into freshwater ecosystem and the marine ecosystem. Here, the freshwater ecosystem includes the lotic ecosystems. Lotic means flowing water. Anything is flowing, that ecological term is used for the lotic water. So the lotic, and because antagonistic word to the lotic is that the lantic, that is stagnant water. But it is known as the lantic water. Lantic water is actually contaminated water. Actually, lotic water is compressed with lantic water is not contaminated that much amount. Okay, so wetlands are there. Lotic ecosystems are actually including the rivers and streams, whereas the wetland ecosystem, they are including marshes and swamps are there. Whereas in the lantic ecosystem, including the pond ecosystems and lake ecosystem. These are actually the freshwater ecosystem without salt. Freshwater means without salt, that ecosystem. What that, a very simple, interesting concept, that a lot of difference between freshwater and clean water. Freshwater is not clean water actually. The freshwater means the water without salt. Actually, the ecological term is the water without salt is the freshwater. Either that water is having mud also. But clean water means totally filtered through any AquaGuard or any particular device you are using in your houses. That water is clean water you are using for drinking. This is actually the meaning of the clean water and the fresh water. Marine water is totally different, full of the salt, that is sodium chloride. That is the water, the sea, ocean. Anyway, come to this part. This is marine ecosystem, having that upwelling regions of the marine ecosystem, open ocean area. The biggest ocean all over the world is Pacific Ocean. Second largest ocean is Atlantic Ocean. Okay, here the coastal area includes estuaries, corals, reefs and mangroves. This is all complete marine environment or marine ecosystem. Come to this part, terrestrial ecosystem, mainly classified into the three categories. Number one is grassland ecosystem, number two is desert, number three is forest, mainly. But their subdivisions are there, okay, according to that area. Even that the land area is 35%, but the variety is there with comparison to the marine area or the aquatic area. Come to the next slide. This slide is illustrating the components of ecosystem. There are two components, abiotic components and the biotic components. Abiotic means non-living things. Biotic means living things. Abiotic components including edaphic factors, that is inorganic nutrients, organic debris, soil, including climatic factors, air, water, temperature, light, and precipitation. Topographic, including mountains and slopes. These are all the abiotic area of the earth. Clear? According to the origin of the universe and origin of the earth, the abiotic components were first evolved. And afterwards, the existence of the biotic component in the first sign of the life in the water. According to the concept of origin of life, credit goes to the Alexander Ivanovich Oparin, who wrote the book Origin of Life. If you are really interested just to study that, the concept of origin of life, you can go through that book. It's an excellent book. Okay, that is Origin of Life. Okay, next, biotic components, including producers, also known as transducers, consumers, decomposers, microconsumers, or the saprotrophs. Saprotrophs is another word, okay? They are actually saprophytes, saprozoic, saprophytic. These words are actually used for fungi, a category of the plant. So they are just grow in the death and decay part, spoiled and decay part. That particular category of the plant is known as saprophytes. Mushrooms, slime molds, bread molds, etc. They are all saprophytes and this actually fungi. So they're all that including the biotic factors. Now, I will explain in detail the abiotic factors. Actually, the abiotic components are classified into the 5 categories: light, temperature, water, humidity, pressure. Light, the supreme form of energy. Yes, what's the name of the light energy? Itself, number 1 is light energy, number 2 is radiant energy, number 3 is solar energy. All the living beings, they are totally depend on the chief source of the light energy, the sun, of our planetary system, the chief of the planetary system. All the activity on the earth is in the presence of sun. Yes. So, what the chief source of the energy? Energy, according to Einstein's concept, neither created nor destroyed. It can change from one form to another form, no doubt. As per the entropy, the energy of the universe is increasing day by day. Okay. So, why the entropy? As per the concept of the entropy, why the energy is fluctuating all over the universe? Because systems are just developing. We are developing rapidly the systems on the earth. That's why the levels of energy is changing. It's not the meaning the energy is just destroying or what that. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. So this is what the universal form of the energy or universal law of the energy. Yes. So energy, the chief source, the light. Light, actually a beam of the light just travels in a straight line. The beam of the light, it consists of the photons and quantums, Planck's quantum theory. So what that photons and quantums, what light, it travels in the one direction. Okay, I remember the Tyndall effect. Okay, so if you'll make a hole in a particular dark room, okay, and the source of light, okay, whatever that sunlight is just passing, so in what the sunlight is just penetrating or entering in the form of a ray. Clear, this is what you can see, the small particles, everything. This is what the Tyndall effect. So the light is a supreme form of energy, the chief source of the energy. The maintenance of an ecosystem is totally dependent on the light. What is next one? Water. The next climatic factor or the abiotic component is water. Essential for life. Water. Living beings, they totally depend on the water. Raining, absorption by the roots of the plant. The water is just cycling and we are getting the water. Okay, fruits, vegetables, everything, they are directly, indirectly, they are having the water. Clear. Our body, yes, our body, 90% of our body is made up of water. So the next climatic factor for the maintenance of an ecosystem is the water. Light, water, humidity. Yes, you will not imagine. Only light is not important for the growth of plant. You will not imagine. Only water is not important for the growth of plant. The humidity plays a significant role for the growth of plant. What humidity is actually we can say, merging of the summer season with the rainy season. The maximum humidity you will see. Okay, so this is what the humidity is very important. Opening and closing of stomata. Okay, so what the vaporization of the water through the surface of the leaves in the summer season, in the winter season, in the humid season, what that? It maintains the, we can say, survival of the plant. So this is what the humidity plays a very important role as we are looking at the maximum germination in the rainy season, in that junctional part of the summer and the rainy season. This is the humidity. Light, temperature. Okay, light and temperature, they are intimate friends. Yes, if light is increasing tremendously, so definitely in a particular area, okay, the temperature will increase. If temperature is increasing tremendously, that temperature will convert into the fire, as we are facing in the Californian forest area. Every year we are facing the fire. Okay, dangerous fire, natural, whatever may be their unsocial activity of the human beings, that is another matter. Okay, but naturally, what the things, the temperature, the tremendous increase in the level of the temperature can converts into the light. So light and temperature, yes, okay, they are contemporary. What that they just converts, okay, so they are intimate friends. So the temperature for our vital activity in our body, that is a particular temperature is required. 37 degrees centigrade temperature, 98.4 degree Fahrenheit. The temperature for our enzymatic activity, for hormonal activity, for biochemical activity, for everything, the temperature, a particular temperature is required. In a very less temperature, in the minus, okay, our activity will gradually cease. In a very high temperature, we cannot eat the food. So everything, it depends on the light and temperature. Okay, light, temperature, water, humidity and pressure. Yes, a lot of tremendous pressure. If you'll enter in the bottom of the sea, the pressure plays again a very significant role for the maintenance of ecosystem. You can measure the atmospheric pressure by barometer. Okay, the pressure. Okay, as we are just measuring your blood pressure by sphygmomanometer, a particular instrument. Okay, so the maintenance of the blood pressure in our body is just a very important criteria of the health according to medical science. Similarly, the maintenance of the atmospheric pressure or the maintenance of the, because the components of ecosystem is also important. Okay, so these are the climatic factors or the abiotic factors. Okay, concentration of the minerals, concentration of the chemicals into the particular water or the environment. Okay, some species of the fishes, they are surviving in a particular area. In that area, if you will estimate the estimation of that chemicals in the water, okay, through the limnological concept, okay, what will happen? So that we can see the concentration of the nutrients or concentration of that chemicals in how much concentration of the sodium, potassium, strontium, what is nitrogen, their compounds, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, their compounds are there in the water. Okay, so this is what the particular species of the fish is just surviving in that. Okay, now if you will just displace the fish from that particular area of the aquatic environment to the another area which is having the different concentration, what will happen? Fish will die immediately. This is what that the concentration of minerals is very important. Okay, minerals, they plays a very important role. What fertilizers? Fertilizers are, there are two types of fertilizers, chemical fertilizer, biofertilizers. Chemical fertilizer, the self name is indicating the chemicals are there. Superphosphates, phosphates, there are several chemical fertilizers. Okay, so plants, what their plants they are getting? They are getting zinc, magnesium, everything in the fertilizers. These are actually the food of the plant. And they are just giving the vegetables, fruits to you. Okay, anyway. So this is what the important role, significant role of the minerals, nutrients, essential nutrients, non-essential nutrients. This is what in the ecosystem. So what the abiotic components, another thing is that buoyancy and the surface tension in the water. This plays also very important role. There are some species of the organisms, they are just floating on the uppermost surface of the water. There are some species of the insect, they can stay on the uppermost surface of stagnant water. This is what the surface tension. Yes, very light insect. And because the molecules of the water, they are very close to the upper surface, they're making, according to the physics, the concept surface tension. Another thing is this is lentic water concept. Now in the lotic water concept, what the water is flowing. So how now the water is flowing that a very specific, the beautiful, pleasant voice is, okay, the sound is just producing through that flowing water. If the water is passing through the pebbles, that is actually due to a physical phenomena is known as viscosity. So that viscosity is just causing that the particular sound of the water is passing and a collision between the pebbles and the water. So what the lotic ecosystem and lentic ecosystem is actually depend on the viscosity and the surface tension of the water. This is physical characteristics of the water. The physico-chemical characteristics of the particular environment of an ecosystem plays a significant role. Okay, so these are the components of the ecosystem. Biotic components, no doubt, including three things. That is animals, majority of the animals, there is species of animals, there is species of the plants, and the microorganisms. They constitutes the biotic components of an ecosystem. Next slide. This is diagrammatic representation of trophic levels in an ecosystem. The diagrammatic representation of trophic level. Trophic, again, I'm just going through the word. Trophic means food level. The diagrammatic representation including primary producers, that is maximum majority of the primary producers, then primary consumers, then secondary consumers, then tertiary consumers. They are maintaining the first trophic level is of the primary producers. Actually, primary producer is actually the first trophic level. They are plants. Next is the primary consumers. They are second trophic level. They are herbivores. And secondary consumer, that is third trophic level, that is carnivores. And tertiary consumers, they are top consumers. They are fourth trophic level, top carnivores, lion, tiger, leopard, etc. Okay. Here, their example. The primary producers, first trophic level, including phytoplanktons, grasses and trees. See, there are two different planktons. Planktons are the organisms, they are floating on the surface of the water. They are actually classified into the two categories. Number one is phytoplanktons and the zooplanktons. Phytoplanktons are those animals, those organisms that feeds on the plants, aquatic plants, submerged plants, whatever may be in that area of the aquatic ecosystem. They are phytoplanktons. Because phyto means plant. So animals, organisms that feeds on the plants, they are phytoplanktons. And zooplanktons, they feeds on animal, that is zooplanktons. Okay, so they are phytoplanktons, grasses, trees, they are constituting, collectively they are actually first trophic level or the primary producers. Next one is secondary trophic or second trophic level, herbivores, including the zooplanktons, grasshoppers and cow. They are sector, they are including the second trophic level, they are constituting the second trophic level, they are herbivores actually, principally they are herbivores, they are primary consumers. Next is birds and fishes, wolves, etc. These are mainly constituting the third trophic level. They are carnivores. They are just making the secondary consumer level. And examples, the man, lion, tiger, they are all making the fourth trophic level. The top carnivores, they are making the tertiary consumer level. Clear? Now, interestingly, what the population of the producers are always very high. And gradually the population is just decreasing. Clear? With comparison to each other. Okay, so this is what the diagrammatic representation of the trophic levels in an ecosystem. Now, this is next slide. As per the topic, the ecosystem, energy flow through different trophic level. As I told you that the energy neither created nor destroyed, it can change from one form to another form. Energy is just transferring from one level to the another level. Energy from the abiotic area is just transferring into the biotic area, into the different trophic levels. This is the chief source of energy, is already told you that the sun. The heat, the energy is just transferring into the plants. That is the first trophic level producers, they are plants. Then energy is transferring to the second trophic level, the primary consumers, they are herbivores, so small animals, annelids, etc. Next is the third trophic level, the secondary consumers, the carnivores. Energy is transferring into the secondary carnivores, like some birds, etc. Next is fourth trophic level, the tertiary consumers or the top consumers. The energy is now finally is transferring. Okay, and afterwards the energy is into this complete area or the very small organ. So this is what the transfer of the energy. This slide is just indicating the transfer of energy. Now, what exactly is the law of energy? How much the energy is transferring into the various trophic levels? Let us see in the next slide. Actually, the concept of we can say interaction, or we can say penetration of the energy through the different trophic levels was first thoroughly studied by the scientist Lindemann. This is a complete Lindemann's 10% law of energy flow. What the Lindemann's law states? Number one is the Lindemann's 1942 put forth 10% law for the transfer of energy from one trophic level to the next. Next point, according to the law, during the transfer of the organic food from one trophic level to the next, only about 10% of the organic matter is stored as flesh. 10%. That's why the name is 10% law of the energy. The remaining is lost during transfer or broken down in respiration. used up. Means used up. That is, respiration is the primary activity, essential activity by living beings. Interaction, exchange of oxygen, carbon dioxide gas between plants and animals. Okay, so that's why this point is indicated. Next one is plants utilize sun energy for primary production and can store only 10% of their utilized energy as net production available for the herbivores. Yes, when plants are consumed by the animal, about 10% of the energy in the food is fixed into animal flesh, which is available for the next trophic level. This is clearly indicating the 10% law of energy. How the 10%, how much the energy is used up for the activity. They are just two things are the basic things. Okay, eating the food and digesting the food, processing. So what energy is consuming, we are gaining the energy. Very small organism is found in the cytoplasm of the cell. Name is the mitochondria. It's considered as powerhouse of the cell. They store the energy in the form of ATP, adenosine triphosphate. This is actually the energy molecule. So adenosine triphosphate, the breakdown of adenosine triphosphate converts into adenosine diphosphate. Then again the breakdown, if the activities are very, very extensive or intensive, that activities, that is AMP, adenosine monophosphate. So what breakdown of the energy molecule and gaining of the energy molecules. The energy molecules, the breakdown of energy molecules is that actually the breakdown of ATP in the living beings. It takes place. So this is what that the vital activities, how the energy is transferring, in each and every cell and the tissue of our body of all the living beings. Next one is, so at each transfer, the 80 to 90% of the potential energy is dissipated as heat, the second law of thermodynamics. What is second? That the sum total of energy is transferring from one system to the another system. Yes, as I told you that entropy of the universe is increasing day by day. The systems are fluctuating, that's why. Where only 10 to 20% of the energy is available to the next trophic level. That's why the law of energy is the 10% law. Okay, next slide. Again, this is energy flow in an ecosystem. 10% law, energy loss. Through these diagrams, okay, we can say that is 1000 joules of the light energy is just transferring to the producers. The 10 joules of the energy available as food here. Okay. Next one is 10 joules of the energy again to the 1 joule of the energy is available as the food for the herbivores. Next, that 1 joule of the energy is transferred from this level to the carnivores. So 0.1 joule energy available as food, the carnivores. Okay, 0.9 joule or the 0.9 joule energy lost to the environment through this level. 9 joule energy lost to the environment and 990, okay, that joules energy lost to the environment. So this is what the this slide is illustrating, that the 10% law of energy. Next, come to the individually the concept of the ecosystem. This is the slides illustrating that the pond ecosystem, zonation of the pond ecosystem. Pond ecosystem is actually the freshwater ecosystem. This is the lentic water ecosystem. Okay, as I told you that lentic means stagnant water. So this slide, okay, before going through that pond ecosystem, first I will show you that pond ecosystem. Then afterwards I will show that the concept of the food chain and food web. So this is actually the pond ecosystem, the generalized we can say concept of the pond ecosystem, including this area, the sun, no doubt. This area of the pond is known as littoral zone. Just area where that just near the coastal area where just there, that is known as a littoral zone. Having some small plants are there. Okay, the littoral zone area. Next, this area is known as limnetic zone. The open water area of the pond ecosystem is limnetic zone. This limnetic zone is actually euphotic area. Means that plenty of the light is penetrating to that area. That is the area of the light. That's why the name is given euphotic area. Photic means the word related to the light, photons. The word is derived from that photic, the euphotic area. This photic means not having this much of the concentration of light to a particular extent, to the particular extent of the water of the pond. That's why the name is given that with comparison to the euphotic area, that this area is known as dysphotic area. And afterwards, that area, gradually we can say intensity of light is decreasing. Okay, the area is the maximum, the biggest area of the pond is known as profoundal zone. And the last one is having the muddy area, the base of the pond, that is bottom of the pond, is known as the benthic zone. This is soil, complete area. Here the compensation point here. Where is the compensation point? In the dysphotic and the profoundal zone. This is compensation point. Light and oxygen level is there. This is complete generalized scheme of the zonation of the pond ecosystem. Okay. What type of the plants they are found into the pond ecosystem? There are some species of the plants, several species of the plants. They are found submerged plants, merged plants. These plants are found in the pond ecosystem like lemna, like Eichhornia, species of Eichhornia. This plant is very, very harmful for the water body, just rapidly absorbing the water, increasing their population. So they can just destroy the complete water body. Okay, so this is not favorable for the, we can say, river or any pond area. Maximum it is found in the pond area. Okay, the lemna, Eichhornia, Pistia, they are floating plants actually. They have floating stem, that is offset stem. This is present in the floating plants. Floating leaves are there, stolon leaves are there. Okay, so these are the plants that are found in the pond ecosystem. Okay, next is, these are actually fixed floating plants. Okay, what are the fixed floating plants? These plants having the spongy petioles, spongy leaf floating leaves are there. Okay, this is water adaptation, aquatic adaptation. Okay, stem, fibrous roots are there, modified submerged leaves are there. Roots, the name of the plant is Trepa. Next is Nelumbium, that is no doubt the lotus. Beautiful plants found in the muddy, stagnant water, lentic area of the pond. Okay, so this is floating leaves, that is Nelumbium. Next one is Nymphia. This is broad leaves are there. These broad leaves with the beautiful flower, floral buds are there, and this is totally submerged plants, and roots are totally penetrated, embedded into the muddy area. So these are the fixed floating plants. They are also found in the pond ecosystem. Next one is another category of the plants. They are Sagittaria. These plants are actually emergent aerial leaves. They are spiny. This type of leaves are there. Flowers are there, and the maximum part of the considerable part of the plant is just at the upper, at the surface of the water, and the maximum part that is the ribbon-like leaves are there, and these leaves are into the water. Okay, the stolon type of that stem is there. Okay, and roots are just emerging from a fiber-like structure. Okay, that is Sagittaria. Okay, next Ranunculus, another species of the plant which is found into the these plants actually amphibious plants. Okay, so these are submerged leaves are there, submerged dissected leaves are there. They are present, and one part of the plant is above. Okay, so what amphibians? Amphibians, they spend their life in land and water both. That's why the name is given the amphibious plants. Okay, Ranunculus, Cypress, another category, that is roots, stolon, leaves, and inflorescence. So these are what is the specialty of these submerged plants that are found in the pond ecosystem? Their leaves are comparatively ribbon-like. They are not very broad. They are lamina. The leaf lamina is not very broad. They are ribbon-like lamina. They are present. Okay, and they are adapted. Yes, the tissues, they are not damaged by the continuous contact with the water. They are adapted for that because they have the very specific type of the tissues they are present. So they were, even that they are submerged or merged into the water, they are surviving. Okay, come to the next slide. Okay, these are actually the submerged plants, and submerged plants, that is the water level is here. Hydrilla, most common plant. This is found in the pond ecosystem. Okay, four of the submerged leaves are present, sequenced and systematically arranged into the one rachis branch. Okay, next one is that Potamogeton. This plant is the muddy leaves, rhizomes, roots are there, and complete organization. The maximum part of the plant is inside the water. Next one is Vallisneria. Okay, the leaves of the Vallisneria, they are ribbon-like leaves. Okay, maximum ribbon-like leaves are there, facilitate into the water for their movement and for their survival. Okay, so these are the submerged plants. Okay, So this is something about the pond ecosystem. Okay, next is marine ecosystem. This is generalized photograph of the marine ecosystem. Beautiful ecosystem, no doubt, the marine ecosystem. Before going to this marine ecosystem, I will tell you something about the ocean or the environment of the ocean. Approximately 12.5 kilometer to the 15 kilometer is the average depth of the ocean is observed by oceanographers. Yes, 73 to 78% of the beautiful bluish earth is covered by the water area, marine area. This marine area constitute that the deep area, biggest area, thousands of kilometers, thousands of miles that ocean is spreading all over the world. As far as concerned about the ocean, that the Pacific Ocean is the largest ocean of the world, and but having the less amount of the concentration of the sodium chloride. Approximately 11.75 percentage of that it is found that the sodium chloride is present. Okay, while in case of the Atlantic Ocean, approximately 26 to 37% of the salt is present in the Atlantic Ocean, the second largest ocean of the world. Okay, Dead Sea, okay, the area of the Israel and Philistine, what that area, the junctional portion of that Gaza, okay. So that Dead Sea is there, and the Dead Sea is having the very, very high concentration of that toxic chemicals. So there is no question of survival of the living components or the biotic components. That's why the name is given Dead Sea. Another is that the mysterious area in the oceanic, that is Bermuda Triangle. Okay, the more and more gravitational attraction of the earth is there. Okay, not like the superstitious things, okay, whatever may be, that the water is just revolving and the dangerous area. Okay, so all the ships and the planes, they are avoiding to crossing that area. Okay, so as per the investigation of the NASA, that is the what is actually the mystery of the Bermuda Triangle in the oceanic area. That is actually the more and more gravitational attraction due to the tilted position of the earth is the first investigation. Another is that under the research, what exactly is there. Okay, so what that Bermuda Triangle, whatever may be, this is beautiful environment of the ocean, having the variety of the species of the fishes, variety of the species of some snakes, variety of the species of corals, and several other organisms are just surviving there in the oceanic environment. Okay, next slide. This slide is illustrating the oceanic divisions. Okay, actually what type of the animals, okay, it's not possible to just express the name of all the animals all over the world, but some specific animals, they constitute the majority. This area of the ocean, the upper area of the ocean, open sea area, that's jellyfishes, turtles, dolphins, okay, vega tuna, specific species of the fish and blue whales, they are just in the epipelagic area of the ocean, a particular zone of the ocean, they're found. Okay, now the cat shark, especially the species of the cat shark, crabs, species of marine crabs, okay, krills are there, they are a specific type of the prawns. The prawn, actually, they are marine also, they are freshwater also prawn. What that the prawn culture is actually is we can say furnished through the freshwater prawn more and more with comparison to the marine prawn. But marine prawns are also existing. These are the marine prawns. They are comparatively bigger in size. Okay, squid, giant squids are there. Giant squids, they belong to the phylum Mollusca. Okay, prawns, they belong to the phylum Arthropoda, crabs, Arthropoda. Okay, anyway. So this is this area of the ocean is known as the mesopelagic area. Word pelagic means floating. The animals, they are just swimming at the uppermost surface, or they can swim. They have the capacity to swim at the uppermost surface of the water. They are actually pelagic animals. The word pelagic means this, floating, can swim on the surface of the water. They are pelagic animals. That's what the name is given, epipelagic, mesopelagic animals. The next zone of the ocean is bathypelagic zone, including the fauna, that is flora and fauna. Flora means plants and fauna means constituting the majority of the animals. These are ecological terms they are used for the flora and fauna. So this area of the fauna, including that viper fish, the specific category of the fish, flute fish, guitar fishes, they are present here. Sea stars are there, starfishes, okay, constituting that from the phylum Echinodermata, octopus, okay, devilfish, okay, phylum Mollusca, bathypelagic area. Maximum they are just in this area. Okay, next, a biopelagic area. Includes this majority of their biotic components, that is angular fishes, because this area is having the very less amount of the penetration of the light or intensity of the light. So this is actually comparatively dark area. So where that some specific adaptation or the light adaptations they are in the animals, that is some fishes, they are having the lantern-like, the bulb-like structures at the tip portion of the head, having that bulb-like structure. That's why the lantern fish, okay, just to see the area, okay, because the area is dark, there is no sunlight, okay. So this is what actually a photic zone area. This is photic zone area. So a photic zone in the black swallowers are there, bigger fishes are there, dangerous devil, ghost fishes are there. They are present in the abyssopelagic area. The last one is the just at the extent of the ocean, that is the bottom of the ocean, that is hadopelagic area. The hadopelagic area, which is having the tube worms are there, sea cucumbers are there, okay, lepidid fishes are there, and devil fishes are there. Several other under investigations. You will not imagine the surprising information is only 33% of the living beings are discovered all over the world, all over the biology. Whatever may be the study of all the plants, animals, all the living beings is approximately 33% only. Remaining approximately 70% are under investigations and the discovery. They are existing all over the world. Wherever, okay, we don't know, but investigations are going on. Oceanographers, biologists, okay, they are keen efforts. Okay, so every day we are looking a new species, their description in the new books of the biology. This is what the how the nature is changing. Whatever may be negative or positive, it depends, because we can say the origin of any particular living being depends on the favorable environmental conditions. If the environmental conditions, light, temperature, water, humidity, pressure, if they are not favorable, they are fluctuating, drastically fluctuating. So what will happen? These environmental factors can change, can mutate the genes they are present into the nucleus of the cell of a particular organism. So what will happen? Once the DNA or RNA or the particular gene is changed, so that particular type of the organism will evolve, will originate. So there is no question of negative or positive. The question is that what type of the new species will come due to this fluctuation. If fluctuation is negative or due to the unsocial activity of the human beings, so definitely you will see the dangerous species of the organism. As all over the world we are facing that dangerous species of the virus, that is coronavirus. Lakhs of the people are dying because of that our unsocial activities. Genetically mutated virus. There are several species of coronavirus already existing. Yes, but this species is very special as the genetic material in the center surrounded by the proteinous coat, and again the lipid layer is there and spikes of the proteins are there. So what the lipid layer enough protecting the virus from the dangerous effect of the environment, it is unaffected by the fluctuation of the environmental factors. That's why we are facing the dangerous effect of the coronavirus. Anyway, so this is for the zonation and the various area of the oceanic division. Come to the next slide. This slide is illustrating the pinpoint, the exact zonation of the marine ecosystem, marine ecology. Okay, this area is the low water area or sublittoral or the shaft area. Okay, coastal area. The high water area, the neritic zone. Up to this mark is the neritic zone. If the land is sloping here, up to this mark is known as neritic zone. This area is pelagic zone, where the animals, they can just swim. Okay, no doubt. Okay. Next, tides are. We are facing that tremendous tides. Okay, this area, neritic and pelagic area. Next, oceanic area, open sea or deep water zone. That is the actually oceanic area, open sea area. Okay, this is complete littoral up to this mark into the land area of that ocean or the land portion of the oceanic area. This is continental slope. The continental slope is falling to that abyssal area, and this is benthic area. Here is that last one is the heddle, the last limit of the ocean. Come to this water part. Here, what is that open oceanic water area? Here, epipelagic area, that is photic zone. Now, up to which zone is the photic area? This is photic area, means the sunlight is penetrating up to that extent, that mark is photic area. Okay, so this is epipelagic area, 200 meter, mesopelagic area, 700 to 1000 meter, bathypelagic area, up to the last limit or the termination of the bathypelagic area, the zone is actually considered as a photic zone. It is known as a photic zone. Now, a photic zone means total dark area. What is that? It is 7,000 to the 1,000 meter. It starts from the 7,000, 1,000 meter, a mesopelagic area, 5,000 meter, and hydropelagic area, that is 10,000 meter up to the last extent. So, as I told you, that the average depth of the ocean is, that is the approximately 12 to 15 kilometers average depth. And the area of the Mariana Trench, that is under investigation, what the deepest area of the ocean. Okay, next one is the next slides. Come to the next part of the now before going to the terrestrial ecosystem, that what is the environment of the flora and fauna in the marine ecosystem. As I already shown the slide, that the environment of the flora and fauna, there is no, we can say, specific species of the flora it is present in the marine ecosystem. There are some specific species of the red algae and the golden algae, brown algae they are present. Rhodophycean algae, Phaeophycean algae they are present in the marine environment. But not like that on the terrestrial area, that variety of the plants are present. There are bryophytes, pteridophytes, algae, thallophytes, okay, gymnosperms, angiosperms are there. They are not found in the marine environment because maximum portion is covered by the water. So what the plants, they are more adapted for the water environment, they are present. Rhodophycean algae, Phaeophycean algae, they are present. But the majority of the fauna is present. Maximum species of the fishes, some species of amphibians, very less amphibians are present in the marine environment, and reptiles, some species of the poisonous, dangerous, deadly poisonous snake, they are present. Okay, some species of the birds at the neritic zone, as I told you in the previous slide, area, penguins are there. Okay, it's Antarctica area, what that, okay. And they are majority, what the maximum that the majority of the fishes are there. And some invertebrates are there. Starfishes are there, as I told you, the octopuses are there, devilfishes are there. So they just constitute the majority of that marine ecosystem, fauna of the marine ecosystem. The concentration of the salt and inorganic salts are the maximum. The very high concentration of the chemicals in the marine ecology or the marine ecosystem. So that concentration, okay, depends what that adaptation of the particular organism, the marine ecosystem. Now, on the other hand, the 33% of the earth is the land area, terrestrial area. Come to the terrestrial ecosystem. Terrestrial ecosystem is land area. No doubt it is very less with comparison to the aquatic environment, but beautiful area. That is the forest area, having the variety of the trees, variety of the plants, all the 5 categories of the plants like Thallophyta, bryophytes, pteridophytes, angiosperms, and gymnosperms. They are existing all over the world according to the area. Come to the dense forest area, deciduous, non-deciduous forest area. This is the forest area having the dense vegetation. Okay, dense plants are there. The water is passing through that. Beautiful scenes are there in that water area. Come to this part, the vertical zonation. This is vertical, actually the zonation of the terrestrial ecosystem. Increasing in the elevation has the similar effects on the ecosystem as traveling to the higher latitudes. Come to the elevation zone. This is high elevation zone, snow ice. Okay, as per that earth, the organization of the area of the earth, the snow and the ice area. This is the high elevation point. Clear? Next, latitude zone, the North Pole polar region. Next is alpine and tundra area. Okay, this is next zonation. Arctic tundra forest are there. Next, subalpine and the coniferous forest area is there. The spiny forest and the trees they are present in that area. This is a boreal forest is there. Next is low deciduous forest area. This is low deciduous forest. They are more dense with comparison to this area. Clear, because that the we can say very high temperature and very low temperature is not favorable for the survival of the plant. A moderate temperature is required for that, and proper sunlight is required. That's why the vegetation is also changing into that particular area. Here the mid-latitudinal area is the temperate forest area. So this is just generalized, we can say photograph, just indicating the total zone of the terrestrial ecosystem in the according to the various part of the earth. Come to the next, the beautiful slide of the indicating the different part of the terrestrial ecosystem. This is Arctic region as the pole of the earth. Arctic tundra. This area, the forest area or the area of the terrestrial ecosystem is known as a specific term, ecological term is used for the tundra area. Subarctic region, including the boreal forests are there. Okay, there's increasing temperature. Okay, right from here, the temperature is decreasing here. That's why these polar areas, they are with the snow area. Clear? Okay. So this is increasing temperature, boreal forest. Next one is here, temperate forest area. What the temperate forest area is including that grassland ecosystem, chaparral ecosystem, and desert ecosystem. This is what the temperature is increasing. Okay, here, temperate region, okay, the temperate forest area. Again, that following to that, the more and more increasing temperature, there is tropical regions, there is tropical forest. Here, grassland and desert, total. So, very high temperature and very high, what increasing dryness is there. So, this is the various part of the earth according to the fluctuation of temperature and condition of the environmental factors. Come to the next slide. As per the terrestrial ecosystem, this slide is beautiful slide indicating that the various level of the grassland ecosystems, the types of the grassland ecosystem and the level of the grassland. This is tidal flat of the grassland ecosystem having the substrate quality, the nutrients, salinity, pH value, mineral is different in different area. This is tidal flat, this is pioneer zone, this is low marsh zone and high marsh zone. Now here, the tidal zone is that having this method of 1 to 116, 1.17, 1.39, 1.75 and 2.23 the minerals they are present here. Okay, a particular. So different type of the grasses they are present in the grassland ecosystem and their dense appearance is different in different area. Clear? Okay, come to the next slide. Here, the next slide is indicating that vegetation zonation in mountain. Now, what about that mountain, the terrestrial area, the mountainous area of the earth? Having this is barren rock area, less vegetation. Okay, there is no, we can say, possibility of just growth of the vegetation because of the environment is very, very drastic and fluctuating. Clear? Okay. Moss is not proper sunlight and that the very less temperature in the minus. Okay. What there, the mosses and lichens are there. Okay. Then cushion plants are there. Open grassland area is this following to that. The meadows are there and draw bushes are there. Here, needle tree forests are there. This area come to the slope of the mountain area and deciduous tree forests are maximum that present in the base of the mountainous area. So how the mountain is indicating that various area of the vegetation. Okay. Next to the slide, that is, these are actually the ecological pyramids. Now, what are the ecological pyramids actually? Pyramids are not, the pyramids are there appearing in the nature. The pyramids are just made due to the trophic levels. So pyramids, the apex is, for example, the predators, there is 0.1% energy, tiger, shark, money, eel, they are present. Okay. Now here, secondary carnivores, they are constituting these animals. Carnivores, they are constituting, as the level is increasing, so they are just making the pyramids here. Okay. And herbivores and the producers. Producers, they are just constituting the majority of the plant. So they are always at the base of the pyramids. Herbivores are lesser than the producers, then carnivores, secondary and then the predators are there. So this is actually the strategy of the pyramids, how to study the ecological pyramids. Okay. Next slide. This is pyramid of number, the classification pyramid of number, pyramid of energy, pyramid of biomass. The pyramid of number is always upright pyramid. or straight pyramid, including producers maximum amount, primary consumer lesser than the producers, secondary consumer more, and then tertiary consumer. So always it is upright pyramid. Next one is that this pyramid is the pyramid of energy. Again, this is straight pyramid of energy. Recycle nutrients, decomposers, and energy loss as the heat. All these levels, primary producer, they are 100%, primary consumers, 10%, then secondary consumers, they are using 1%, and the third level of consumers and the apex predators, they are using 1%, and finally the 0.1%, that is energy transferring to that. So this is what the straight pyramid of the energy. Okay. The next one is, this is inverted pyramid of the biomass in the pond ecosystem. Now, what do you mean by the inverted pyramids? What happened actually, interestingly, what that in the pond ecosystem, that the largest fishes are maximum, they represent, okay, majority, their population is more, so that will represent to the maximum part of the pyramid. Next is small fishes, they are much lesser than the, that is secondary consumer level. Then primary consumer level, the zooplanktons are there, and finally the phytoplanktons are there. The pyramid is not straight, this is inverted pyramid is there. So this is what the inverted pyramid, a condition of the inverted pyramid. Okay, now come to this slide. This is again a beautiful slide. There is a pyramid of the biomass. The pyramid of biomass indicating the two things, upright pyramid also and the inverted pyramid also. Now here upright pyramids, this is actually upright pyramid of biomass in the terrestrial ecosystem. What this indicating? Producers, they are present 1000 kilogram of their productivity of the producers in a particular area. The maximum amount of the producers are there. They are naturally at the base of the pyramid. Next one is herbivores. They are constituted 100 kilogram approximately the area, but they are lesser than the producers. Then primary carnivores, they are 10 kilograms and 1 kilogram the top carnivores. So this is upright, straight pyramid of the terrestrial ecosystem biomass. Okay. Now inverted pyramids, how that is in the aquatic environment maximum. That is the carnivorous fishes are there 12 gram per meter square. They are the pyramids, they are present. So they are just constituting the maximum majority of that fauna. Then lesser is that herbivores, they are lesser than the carnivorous area, that is, and producers. So this pyramid is inverted pyramid of the biomass, indicating here. Now, what about the food chain and food web? If I will emphasize the food chain and food web, the concept of the food chain and food web, okay. So I can show that one slide of the food chain and food web, the comparison of the food chain and food web. Okay, because this is a common, we can say, interaction between plants and animals in the food chain and food web. Okay, so as to understand properly, this is the comparison between food chain and food web. What is the basic difference between food chain and food web? Food chain are actually systematic. The levels are following with each other systematically. Food web are random, this web-like structures. Okay, so what the comparison? Come to the food chain. This is food chain, a proper, we can say, feeding or the trophic level is following here. Producers, they are just consumed by the primary consumers systematically. So these primary consumers like grasshoppers and all the insects, they are feeding on the producers. Locusts, as we are facing the dangerous effect of the locusts all over the world. Okay, and afterwards these grasshoppers, the primary consumers, are just eaten by the secondary consumers. Systematically these frogs, amphibians. Afterwards these amphibians are just consumed by the snake, species of snake, tertiary consumers. And then finally consumers, the hawks, and these are birds. Okay. Then finally the death of these animals, that is the decomposers. So this is what the systematically the food chain is just, okay, maintaining in all the ecosystem. Okay. But here in the food web, what happened, the food web, the interaction is random. It's not systematic. The sun, energy, the plant producers are there, grasshoppers, primary consumers, spiders, the secondary consumers. Okay, these are the shrews, secondary consumers. And directly that these shrews and these rodents are eaten by these birds. Okay, here again the owl and the consumers, they are just interacting with each other. So this is a web-like structure, it's not systematic. Now, how the food webs are formed? The food webs are formed by the interaction of the several food chain in an ecosystem. Food chain is more and more successfully visible in the terrestrial ecosystem with comparison to the aquatic ecosystem. I can say confidently that in the marine ecosystem, food web is more prominent with comparison to the food chain, but in the terrestrial ecosystem, no doubt the area is very less with comparison to the aquatic area, but The variety of the food chain and food web is there. You can see in the various ecosystem. As the cave ecosystem, the area of the cave ecosystem is a type of the terrestrial ecosystem, and the desert ecosystem, because the fluctuation in the existence and adaptation of the flora and fauna is they are no doubt greatly fluctuating. Their survival is mortality rate is very high in the area of the desert ecosystem. So possibility of the formation of the food chain food web is very less. In case of the forest ecosystem, you will see that maximum possibility of formation of food chain and food web in the forest ecosystem of the terrestrial area. Whereas in the aquatic area, you can see the maximum possibility of the formation of the we can say food chain and food web in the marine area with comparison to the aquatic ecosystem or the freshwater ecosystem. So you can see the maximum amount of the presence of the food chain in the pond ecosystem or the freshwater ecosystem, while the maximum amount of the formation of that, we can say maximum amount of formation of that food web you can see in the marine ecosystem. So this is actually the formation of food chain and food web. It depends on the maximum variety or of the population of a particular species. It depends on the particular species. If there is more and more interaction between the different species or community level biological communities is present in an ecosystem, so naturally there will be the possibility of the formation of the food chain food web. Okay, so this is what that the overall concept of the ecosystem. No doubt this is endless topic. Anybody can go through that. The several other aspects all over the world under investigation, discovery. That is already told you that we know only the 33% of the organisms all over the world. Only as per the research and investigation, we are studying all over this much of the big books we have of the biology, all in the libraries of International Library, okay, and all the books of the world, okay, including only the study of 33% of the living beings, approximately. So maximum 70% of the living beings under investigation and the research. So this is a huge subject, the biology, and the topic is endless topic. Actually, the topic is not for the lecture, it's not for the seminar or what that I told you that several times. What the topic is just for the awareness with the environment. What are we really that aware for the environment? Yes, really. What is our duties for the nature, for the maintenance of the nature? What is our duties? Okay, how we are just conserving our natural forest, flora and fauna, because we are interacting, we are getting everything from the plants. Okay, we are interacting nature. So save the nature. This is first and foremost thing. Very, very important. Thank you very much. For further queries, you can contact to the Nirmala College, the Department of Biology. Thank you very much.
For latest videos and updates, like, share and subscribe. For instant notifications, press the bell icon.